Hey guys, how we doing? So quick video here in my efforts to provide the best customer experience for really all the equipment I sell, whether it's Intimidator, etc. I'm constantly looking for ways to improve products and improve the end user's experience. You know, a lot of times manufacturers build things and it takes them a long time to make improvements based off of customer feedback, or maybe it's going to cost them too much to make the improvements, so they just say, whatever, deal with it. So I don't do well with the just deal with it scenario. I feel like there's always opportunities for improvements, and I like to embrace those opportunities whenever it's feasible for me to do so. A lot of these ideas too come from, you know, customer feedback and customers. I have conversations, I listen to what they're saying, I'm listening to what they're doing to accommodate it, and then I just start keeping my eyes open and seeing, okay, how can I replicate this in a, you know, a repeatable fashion, an OEM fashion. That's how, you know, I developed this heat shield and dust shield front of the Intimidators. That started, you know, having a conversation with a customer, you know, and I was like, oh, that's cool, that worked, yep, that makes sense, how can I apply that? Oh, great, you know. And so it's really cool. So today I want to show you what I've been working on with the air cleaner. So number one way that you can ruin your machine, or any machine, is not cleaning the air filter. These are run in an extremely dirty, dusty environment a lot of times, especially on gravel roads and, you know, dirt trails and things like that. So these Intimidators, they notoriously, you know, collect a lot of dust in the air filter. Now I haven't done a side-by-side comparison on an Intimidator and a Can-Am or Polaris on the same trail at the same rate, at the same things, to say that one is worse than the other. But I can say that the air filter on these Intimidators does its job, but they get dirty very fast, especially in dirty environments. Part of that may be due to the intake being behind, the intake for the air filter is behind the cab here. You know, so the dust kind of swirls up and around. I've already posted some information on a potential modification. That's actually on this unit as well, so I might as well kill two birds with one stone and show you that. Here we basically plugged off the original intake for the air filter and added a flexible tube to come around and draw air from inside the cab. So I have not fully tested this modification or theory, but in theory it makes sense. You know, there's a lot cleaner or a lot stiller air inside the cab. You obviously need to be careful with long clothing or anything like that, that you don't plug off this intake, but it makes sense that it's sucking air from a cleaner spot. So expanding on that, you know, I always remind my customers when they come and pick up their machines, or I'm talking to them on the phone, or just in passing, clean your air filter. You clean your air filter. I bug them all the time, because that's the one way that you're going to wreck your engine, and nobody's to blame except for yourself because you didn't clean your air filter. You can complain that it got dirty fast, but you still didn't clean it. You know, you're supposed to check and do that really before every ride. And then I get the question, well, how often should I? Well, aside from every ride, you really got to do your own experiment. You know, without information, you got to do your own experimenting. Well, ride it, you know, do it every ride. Okay, it's not dirty every ride, then check it every 2, every 4, you know, and extend that. And like, oh, okay, here's that sweet spot where I feel like when I'm checking it, I'm actually having to clean something out of it. So that's the crude way of kind of dialing in how often you should be cleaning your air filter in the conditions that you ride in. So, and it's highly dependent on how you use your machine. So I had a customer that I was talking about, telling him, hey, clean your air filter, clean your air filter. And he's like, well, why? He said, why don't they put one of those indicators on there? You know, and I'd never even thought of it. You know, I've seen them. I know what I knew exactly what he's talking about. Seen him on some John Deere equipment. He said he's there on Bobcats and things. All right, a quick review here of what we got going on. What we're going to be testing is So I got a clean air filter in my air box, and we're going to be testing out this new airflow indicator from that we're going to likely be installing on all of our Intimidators going forward if this works the way I want to. So the way that this mechanism works, and they have types that are passive, or there's no they have a manual, completely manual one, so it looks identical to this, but it doesn't have the electrical pigtail. So essentially what happens is, as a negative pressure is created in here because of a restriction of airflow, so engine is sucking in air, it's trying to breathe. As your air filter gets dirty, it can't breathe, or it creates a negative pressure because it's sucking harder to try and move the same amount of air through a clogged medium. As that negative pressure increases, it pulls down this yellow indicator, and this indicator stays as it pulls in, so it's going to lock in. So I think there's marks on there, but anyways, there's marks, and you'll see this indicator start to creep up, creep up, creep up. When you shut off your engine, it stays put until you reset it by pushing this back button. Kind of resets the indicator. So in our case, I found this powered one, which is going to control a 12-volt light on my dash when it's full. Once this reaches to the point where it's full, saying, hey, that's enough, it's going to trigger 12-volt power to this indicator light. So the obvious benefit here is a heads-up display of, well, you should be changing your air cleaner or cleaning your air filter. If you were riding this machine, let's just, in extreme circumstances, you had this out in the sand dunes where obviously sand is everywhere, dust is everywhere. You may need to clean it more than once per ride, per the owner's manual. This would come in handy because it's going to say, hey, we're full, stop, clean your air filter. A lot of those guys use particle separators and other means to be more efficient and keep their air filters clean. But at least this would give you the indication that, hey, if you keep running, you're going to run into trouble. So what we got is, this is my modified air box. I have a flexible hose that normally would go here and be sucking in from the cab. So I'm going to conveniently use that flexible hose. I zip tied it to this box of just gravel I grabbed outside. And I'm not just going to dump sand in there. I'm going to take this and make dust and fine particulate while this is running. And we're going to just kind of run it for a while, see if it gets sucked in, and then kind of monitor our indicator throughout the process. We'll start with just normal idle. We'll increase the RPMs, because RPMs, obviously, if it's calling for more air, it needs more open places for it to draw from. That's going to dictate whether that indicator goes or not. So you could have a completely plugged air filter, but if you're just idling or putzing around at 3,000 RPMs, it's semi, I don't say it's irrelevant, but you're not going to have the ingestion issues as somebody that has a clogged air filter running at 6,000, 7,000 RPMs. So that's kind of the quick summary. Let's give it a try here. Turn this on. Make sure I got 20 where I should be able to find here. All right, so we're going to start it up in neutral. We're going to just kind of let it idle, see what sucks in at idle, and then we'll probably increase some RPMs while we kind of sprinkle some dust in there. As you can see it breathing. Idle, there's obviously a vacuum, it's sucking in some of this fine dust, but it's not creating enough negative pressure to really suck in. You kind of see as we right, guys, we're gonna take a little break here. I was just looking here and watching, and you can see here that we finally got up to our first notch on our indicator. Gonna make sure nothing's melting or hot or anything like that, just normal warm engine bay. We're gonna take a quick peek. You know, I was running for probably, I don't know, 45 minutes. So pretend we took a 45-minute trail ride while dinking around, and maybe only a half an hour between dinking around with getting some sort of agitator with a drill, just so I'm not sitting there with my hands all day long. So half hour to 45-minute trail ride we got going on here. We're gonna open up the air box and see what this looks like, you know, at one indicator on here. So clearly we got your normal driving dust here. Let's take a look at our air filter. I mean, and visually that looks pretty dirty. This is a pretty obvious medium, you know, it's got some good contrast against it. I'd like to take a look at the inside of the throttle body here. Let me grab a flashlight. So even when your filter looks like this, it may not be plugged or restricted to the point where you're going to have a failure, but if you let it go and go and go, it's really hard to determine visually, you know, that's, let's call it 25%. We'll use the market percentages. That's 25% restricted. Well, you know, there's no good way without an indicator of some sort of knowing that that's bad or not. So, you know, pulling apart your air cleaner and cleaning it before every trip without some sort of indicator is why they recommend that. We're gonna shine a light in there. I'm gonna stick my head in, maybe I can get the camera in there too. What I want to see is the clean side of the throttle body. Maybe I can do that with the camera here. Let's pop this off. See if we can't get a good shot. So with that, we're pretty clean. So this is really what I want to monitor through this test. So like I was saying, what I really want to monitor through this test is the clean side of the throttle body, because the indicator does us no good if by the time it throws the indicator light we have evidence of ingestion. So it's a moot point, you know, that I have an indicator if it does not indicate prior to ingestion. So we're going to keep going with our test here. Right now I feel pretty good about what we're doing. No evidence of dirt inside that throttle body. We're going to pop this filter back in and keep going here and see what we get. But again, that was just after 45 minutes of what I would call dirty, dusty trail riding, and your filter is going to look like that. And honestly, yeah, are there probably efficiencies that can be made, or separators or design efficiencies by manufacturer? Yes, but you've been trail riding. If you're not the first person riding, you're riding in a cloud of dust. So I only take that for what it's worth a little bit. You know, in reality, it's breathing that air, and no pre-filter, the frog skin or whatever you want to call it, is going to filter that fine particulate, and it's going to make its way into the air cleaner. All right, so we got that running. I just want to explain what I'm going to do here quick. So it's going to create more of a negative pressure when you accelerate. So right now I have this running between 4,000 and 5,000 RPMs. I've been kind of sucking dust. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to watch the gauge, and I'm going to, you know, blip the throttle as if I was accelerating hard
you know, doing a sporty trail riding and see if we get that gauge to go up any further. Right now I've been doing that, and actually I did get the gauges up at you know, three quarters full or 3/4 restricted. So, you know, in reality, you can run with a dirty air filter if you're not running it hard. So it's very, you know, if you're going to keep everything under 3,000, 4,000 RPMs and putts around, you know what? There's probably people that never ever touch their air filter, and they'll have a machine that runs for 10 years because they're not, you know, calling for as much air as needed, you know, up at 7,000 RPMs. But if you're trail riding, cruising along and then accelerating hard and getting those RPMs up, it's much more critical to have, you know, unrestricted airflow. Let's go check it out. Stop here. So we're going to climb here. We're at about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So really, even if you're cruising with a clogged air filter, it's not too bad. But watch, when we give it a, you know, we accelerate. We got our indicator light. So if you're gonna neglect your air filter, slow down. I guess that's my takeaway. And you can see here that light is gonna stay on. Well, like if I turn off the machine, obviously I have this on wired into key switch power. Machine on, lights on. So I mean, right there is a pretty visual representation of, hey, you got to do something here. You know, you can come here, and so indicator light is on. From here, you know, you can see obviously full on this, and then you push this yellow button here to reset it, and indicator light is off. If I start this again, if I go, you can see it climb a little bit automatically. And then if I turn it on and just, you know, start pounding on it like I'm, you know, a race car driver, it'll go right back to So now what I want to do is, clearly we're getting it to a point where we've, you know, filtered enough dust that once we accelerate now we're creating that negative pressure, and that is when you start getting the ingestion. And I don't know if I didn't run it very hard. Obviously I didn't
pin it to the rev limiter for too long. But if you were on a long, let's just say you're doing dusty trail riding, but yet now you need to do some road riding to get back to your house or get back to your trailer, I mean, that's when everybody naturally just, you know, guns it. You're just traveling from A to B, so now you got that thing pinned, maybe not necessarily to the rev limiter, but up there. Now that whole ride home, it's negative pressure sucking all in that dust. So let's see what this filter looks like. I'm kind of curious too what else I'm gonna do is we're gonna pop this open, which I'm sure is just filthy. Let's get rid of our dust sucker. That's pretty dirty. So now, you know, once that air filter gets plugged, you know, then it's going to suck and it's going to drop. This whole experience, let's just pretend you were driving and then it started raining or it's super humid out. You know, the moisture content, once that dust gets wet, then it creates clay and it's going to restrict you sooner as well. So obviously our air filter is quite dirty here. If you knock it out, you can see that fly, and I see that all the time in the shop, which not a good thing. Let's set this down for a second, and actually we're gonna basically just blow that out. Actually, we might do two things here since we're already this far. First thing I want to do is check the intake side of the air filter, make sure we're not ingesting already. So let's see what we got here. If we can get a good shot or not. Okay, we popped our air cleaner out. We checked the intake side of the throttle body and the butterfly. Everything looks nice, good, and clean. So we're going to put that together, and then we're going to try a couple things here. We're going to take, and first I'm going to take that air cleaner and just gently like tap it out. Like, okay, pretend you're out on a trail ride, indicator light comes on. You know, can you tap that out and remove enough of the dust carefully to eliminate that restriction, and then we're going to do the same thing, blowing it out gently with an air compressor, and then that'll tell us that, you know, once you get to this state where your indicator light comes on, you should be either cleaning it or completely replacing your air filter. There's definitely got to be careful when you're blowing them out from the inside. Try to be gentle. You know, forcing the nozzle into the air filter medium and blowing hard, I can say, is not the answer. You're just going to blow apart the medium, and I'm sure if you looked under a microscope it would look real fuzzy rather than a nice tight medium. So we're going to just do some, since we've gotten it this far and I got a mess already, we're going to do a couple just theoretical experiments. Okay, riding hard on the trail, indicator light comes on, hey, we pull over, can we knock it out? And then yes, no, and then from there, my definite takeaway, whether we can get this clean or not, is once that indicator light comes on, you're going to want to get under the seat and reset it, and then just drive a little more gently, you know, and you can get home and without wrecking something. You know, even if you don't have a fresh air filter to pop in, you just know, hey, we popped our air filter indicator light, we need to take it a little more easy, otherwise they're going to start sucking in dust. So let's see what we got here. on. All right. You know, if you're messing with the air box, make sure you do have it fully seated all the way so you don't have anything that's going to sneak up on you in terms of an air leak. Once you're on the other side of the air cleaner, you want to be careful. All right, good seal there, good seal there. Everything here held up well. Go ahead and reset that. I'm not going to worry about cleaning out the inside of that, so we're going to take our air filter here, and you can see some of the larger stuff that it sucked up. Go outside here, not that it's going to matter, but just so it doesn't all blow back in my face here. So if you're going to knock it out, obviously just do so gently. So I'm just going to carefully, keeping the clean side down because I don't want to get anything in the clean side. And I would say if you're going to knock, you're going to want to knock gently, not on the ceiling face, because obviously this is the ceiling face going inside that, so you don't want to damage that at all. There's a little breeze there. Like that. So now I'm just taking my, I don't have any sharp. So who knows, this might do nothing, but if you don't have an air compressor at home or you're in a bind, it might be enough. And in my opinion, anything is better than nothing, but I could be wrong. This could be still coming off of there, but just so you can see what I'm doing from the outside. So this is just, you know, knocking with my hands and then a gentle so I obviously don't have enough breath to blow internally to this to make it do anything, so I'm just doing what I can with just some, you know, vibratory dislodging, and then and again, I could sit there all day and I could probably keep getting stuff out of there, but we definitely got the bulk out of there, and I can definitely see less, so we're gonna give that a try. All right, so we're back in. We got our intake hose out of the dust. We reset our indicator. We're just gonna go ahead and, we're not gonna run this very long, just gonna start it up, start giving it some RPMs, blip the throttle a little bit and see if it made any difference. Because when it was full, when I blipped the throttle or gave it full RPMs, it indicated full or stop. My light went off. Take a look at that. See if I can get my thing off. So it does still show that it's clogged, but now when I give it throttle, that was an extended, ride there. I got it to go off. So knocking it out a little bit does help. Is it going to be a cure-all answer on the trail? No, but it's better than nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and reset that. And then I'm going to do the same thing with air compressor. Gently from the inside to see if I can truly clear or clean this filter to be appropriate for, again, hard sustained riding. If you're not riding hard, it's kind of irrelevant. You're not going to create enough negative pressure that it's going to matter or throw an indicator. The thing I'm kind of curious of is I'm gonna snag my Makita blower. So this is more of a, well, at least not an air compressor. This is a dust blower for like doing woodworking, or you're using a saw and blowing off your workspace. This would be better actually than an air compressor, because it's a little more volume and a little less pressure. Let's see what this does here. All right, we're back in. Again, I just blew out. I blew out my air filter, reset my indicator. I blew out the air filter using this Makita dust blower. Honestly, if you're going to be doing tons of trail riding, that tool there and a tire inflator would be money well spent to carry with you. Also, perhaps some awesome ratchet tools and things like that if you're going to get crazy. But that dust blower, I think, is going to be an indispensable tool here if we can see what this does here. So I'm going to start it up. Again, we're going to let it warm up for a sec, and then I'm going to, play with the throttle, run it, high RPMs for a bit, and see what this indicator does. Okay, so there you have it. So definitely, blowing out your air filter is going to allow you to continue to use it and continue to use it for a while. The nice thing about the indicator is going to be, it's going to let you know, again, if I sat this outside, humid day, dewy, that might change from my testing here to the next morning on, how much it's breathing. So I really think, and I'm not sure why manufacturers don't just make some sort of indicator just part of their standard equipment. It seems like they would save themselves, well, they'd be doing a favor to customers, they'd be doing a favor to themselves, because I guarantee you that there have been warranty claims filed and paid that maybe shouldn't have been because of ingestion. I know it, just because of the way manufacturers want to please the customer. You don't want to get into this battle of, oh, you did that to yourself, tough luck. That's not good for PR. So I guarantee you, out there in the world, not just Intimidator, across all brands, engines have been replaced under warranty that have failed due to lack of air cleaner maintenance and ingestion. So to me, the investment of an integrated air filter indicator would be money well spent, for sure. And I honestly, with my testing here, I would have been a little hesitant to call this, standard equipment for me. If I opened that up and it was just full of dust and dirt in the air box, or in the throttle body. But I opened that up, it's clean. I can see the changes in, knocking it out versus blowing it out. So it's actually quite a crude but yet precise piece of equipment. And my final kind of takeaways from the matter is, if you're not going to clean the air filter, don't run your machine hard. Doing those casual RPMs, and you're going to be okay. At some point, will it clog and will you be ingesting? Yeah, probably, but the amount of damage that you're going to do is less than somebody who is riding their machine hard on the trails, or riding it hard on the trails and then sprinting from point A to point B on road riding at the higher RPMs. That's the biggest spot where you start to see that negative pressure, and where you're going to start to see the dust ingestion on a dirty air filter. But I'm going to go ahead and start sourcing some components, and this is going to be standard equipment here at Benson Power, because even if I can prevent one person from blowing up their engine, it's money well spent, in my opinion. And it's not necessarily for me, it's for the customers. Well, it comes back on me, because those are the phone calls that I don't really want to have with customers, is, hey, you blew your engine and it's kind of your fault. So I'm really glad that, again, this is why I talk with my customers and have constant conversations, sparking new ideas, sparking opportunities to improve the customer's experience, and we're gonna keep at it. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hope you got something out of it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do any other testing, or any suggestions to further expand the analysis here. But I feel pretty good about what I got out of this today. So thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe. Talk to you soon.